good? Welcome to the On The Bloc podcast, brought to you by Bloc Devoir. You got myself, Ryan, at Espo Crespo on Instagram, content manager for Bloc Devoir. And today we've got a very special guest. My bro Hammad has joined us for the first episode. Let's kick it off. So, Hammad, just to start, you want to give everyone a brief intro, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're living now, all that stuff.
Definitely, yeah. So hello, everyone. Hope you're all well during this time. So my name's Hammad. I'm originally from Stoke, born and raised. Spent 17 years of my life there, school, college. And then at 17, I made my way down south. And I have been in London ever since. Studied here, started working here, and just stayed here ever since, really. That's me in a nutshell. I am the global digital advertising manager for Receipt Bank. And I've worked quite progressively within the startup space in London and the fintech space as well. That's me.
Keeping you very busy at the minute as well, isn't it?
Very busy, always a lot on. There's full-time work, and then there's always like 3-4 projects on at once. So difficult to keep up, but when you keep yourself busy, things happen.
Yeah, I can definitely feel you on that one. Been like say I myself work in digital marketing, and we've been, well, like you say, when it doesn't stop. I know a lot of people have, like been struggling with work, and it's like with everything that's going on in the world, and it's kind of sad. But like, I'm pretty sure you'll be in the same position as me. That since coronavirus started, since lockdown started, it's been non-stop. If anything, it's picked up more because of the people, everyone being stuck inside. You're getting served ads. Digital marketing is the place to be, and that's where all the money seems to be getting spent at the minute. And yeah, fingers crossed. I know it's been busy, but hopefully we're getting closer to normality. Well, if Boris ever lets us back outside again, but yeah, we should be getting there. So yeah, we just want to. It's a brief start, Hammad. So yeah, I'm just gonna chat through, just ask you some questions. We'll see where we get on. I just want to break it down. What have you got? Have you got a COVID lockdown fit on at the minute? What's the outfit saying?
Oh, the outfit at the moment is I've got this top on, which is from Uniqlo. It's probably about 6 years old, to be fair. I've got heat techs on as well because I was out of the house earlier. Went for a nice little walk in the park. And I've got cropped pants on from Uniqlo as well, and heat tech socks. Got the Apple Watch, which kind of stays on most days now. And that's it. It's normally crew necks or track pants. I think the Calabasas track pants have taken a hammering over the past year, pretty much. But yeah, that's kind of the main outfit, really. Crews and hoodies and anything comfortable, really.
Yeah, solid fit. And Uniqlo's always, like, I know for me, like, it's my go-to as well, especially for basics, because you know what you're getting. It's affordable. I think like a couple of the collaborations they've done recently, like the Uniqlo U stuff. I think prior to Christmas, I got the Uniqlo Jill Sander, and they had a collaboration on like some like knitwear, so it's like a zip-up cardigan. I haven't even worn that yet, to be honest. To be fair, I've got a lot of stuff which I bought which I haven't worn yet. But like, you know what you're getting with Uniqlo is it's always good quality and it's not too expensive. So yeah, I can fully agree with that myself. Like, got End New Balance collaboration. I think that's dropped just before Christmas. They got collaboration on a silhouette. Nice. I think it was can't remember what model it was, but yeah, they got full range, couple of tops, zip up jackets, and then I had a footwear collaboration. And yeah, I think with End, like for me, like they've been taking a hit mostly with my raffles. To be fair, like I know people normally.
I don't know anyone who wins. I don't know anyone who ends up winning an End raffle, so I can feel your pain on that one. I think I've won it once, to be fair. It was on an item of clothing. Actually, it wasn't on any sneakers. It was for the Snow Beach Ralph Lauren polo stuff that came out. I think it was 2018. It was a while ago. But yeah, I know how you feel when it comes to End raffles. I think a lot of people listening can vouch for that as well.
Yeah, it seems to be a myth. Like I've got about must be 8 or 9 accounts, and everything gets entered 8 or 9 times. And even then, like I think most of it's a myth. I think like the next thing I'm looking for is the I don't know if you've seen him, the Jordan 4 Taupe colorway, I think it is, which drops end of this week. I'm like, that's hard. It's such a
Yeah,
hard silhouette, but and I already know it's only taking L's on that. To be fair, I mean, I'm going to enter all the raffles, but it's going to be a myth, to be honest. And I'm not paying resale because I think they're like 180 quid to start with. So resale is going to be like what, probably 350 plus maybe. I don't fancy paying that, but
exactly.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll enter. You've got to be in it to win it, aren't you? So we'll see how we go. Um, just
That's
what
it.
just want to see what you think. I don't know whether you'll be the same as me or you've maybe not got as big a problem as with buying stuff online as what do you think your shopping habits have been like since we've been stuck inside? Do you think anything's changed? Do you think it stayed the same? Do you think being stuck inside browsing your phone has made you want to shop more, shop less? What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, good question. And to be honest with you, my shopping habits have always been like really strange. And the reason for that is like it's really hard to sell to digital marketers, right? Like we're not as easily influenced as other people, like because we read the fine print, we check through things.
We know
So
when we're getting
it does
retargeted.
differ for me anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So we're just a bit cautious about those things, to be honest. And yeah, I'd say lockdown habits have changed because I've stopped buying like fast fashion, I would say. That's kind of gone out the window now. I didn't used to buy a huge amount before, but the kind of the in between stuff or the everyday stuff, I've just stopped that completely now because there's no real need for us to like go out right now. So what I'm focusing on really is rather than like getting and accumulating day to day stuff, I'm looking more at investment pieces. So quite recently I got a pair of George Cleverly shoes for myself. A really nice pair of loafers. I've got a pair of Mason Margielas for myself as well. Just the triple black replicas. And that's timeless stuff. Like you can wear that whenever you want. And I think that's what I was kind of lacking before, really. So I'm more conscious about what I'm picking out. I'd rather it be quality over quantity. I'd rather pick out and be more refined in my choices as well. Like, gone are the days of, for me anyway, of walking into Uniqlo and just buying 3 t-shirts in one go. That's completely finished now. So I'm quite kind of keen on the stuff by Sunspell. I think the Sunspell hoodies and their sweats and their t-shirts are really, really good. They're a bit pricey, but they're really good.
Yeah, I think you've put me onto them before. I know we talked about it before when we were talking about basics and stuff. And Sunspell is definitely one you brought up to me. But like you say, it is on the pricey point. But I think do you feel? I don't know if you feel this way as well, that more people are conscious now of you know not not so much the price point, because I think if I think price almost goes out the window. It's in some equations because people will pay, obviously if they can afford it, whatever, regardless of the brand, if it's something they want. But do you think people are now more than ever, say, willing to invest in pieces that they know where they're made from, they know where the quality is? I know, we've spoke before about like sustainability in products, but do you think people's purchasing habits are changing, or do you think it's just people are becoming more aware of where stuff's been made, or maybe are just a bit more conscious and are asking the question? What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think there's two strands really. I think people like H&M and Zara and Topshop, Topman, etc. They've all got really bad press for where their stuff is made and how much they're paying their workers. And that has come out even more progressively through the last maybe 2 to 3 years. And I think that really needed to happen for this industry to get disrupted, right? I mean, you've got older players who have been there for a long time. So you've got Patagonia. From the top of my head, you've got Patagonia who have been doing this for a long time. And, their whole ethos is around sustainability. That's more kind of a US centric brand, to be fair. But
Yeah,
still, I think they're kind of leading the way. And the other thing is you've got two strands of it. You've got the businesses who want to do more on the sustainability side. But from a consumer perspective, you've got more people who want to buy ethical stuff. So that might be ethically sourced cotton. It might be collaborations. So, for example, Adidas did the collaboration with Parley for the oceans,
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
they released they
Ultra
released
Boosts.
sneakers, they released shorts, a whole range of stuff really. So it's definitely a two pronged. There's definitely businesses coming at it from one angle and consumers coming at it from the other angle. And I think there's a middle ground which works both well for businesses and well for consumers as well. But that line is very fine because you've also
Agree.
got companies like Colourful Standard, for example, who are quite new in the space. They've got a flagship store on Regent Street now, but they operate mainly online. But they're organic cotton, but their organic cotton is actually not that good. Like I've got a couple of things from there, and it's just after one wash, it's completely done. So it's finding the balance between sustainable sourced kind of materials, but also stuff that's quality as well. There's a good place that I found, maybe around a year ago. It was called The Cotton Story. They had a little
I've not
boutique on
heard of
King's
that.
Road in London. And they were really small at the time, but honestly, their fits and the quality of their stuff and the price point was unbelievable. Unfortunately, they've closed down now, but it's really hard to find gems like that. And I know you've mentioned a couple to me in the past as well, but it is definitely sustainability is definitely being picked up from both sides, and it's that middle point which is
Yeah,
it's really hard to get it right.
the trade off between uh, still like you say ethically sourcing stuff, but still having that quality there and still finding that reasonable price point. I think like I did a partnership myself with New In Fashion, which is founded by Marcus Butler and his partner. We he reached out to me after I tagged the brand on some content. I just purchased because I'd heard good things about them. Their big focus is on sustainability, where their garments are sourced, and like if you go on their site and look at any of their products, it gives you a clear breakdown. Like not it's not everything's not 100% sustainable, but they're very clear on where their products are made. It's very transparent, and I think like you say, they're still quite affordable. And the bits I got them from them are like a couple of hoodies, overshirt, a mock neck t-shirt, and they're still like that affordable price point. But you've got that peace of mind as if they're saying, this is good quality stuff. It's not going to cost you the earth, but you've got that transparency of knowing exactly where this is made, exactly like they've even got saying like I think some of the stuff was made in Turkey, some of it was made in Portugal, and they've got like
Yeah,
a real sense of saying like, look, this is where it's made, this is how much it costs. Another brand which just sprung to mind that I know does that is Noah. I'm pretty sure you'll be familiar with Noah's stuff as well. That I know I mean, I haven't checked their site recently, but I know in the past
I
they
didn't realize they were. I didn't realize they had sustainability initiatives. I just thought they were another kind of normal brand.
yeah, I mean, I normally look at the stuff when it drops on Dover Street, but like for when I have checked their site and they've said like they've got it super clear on a lot of their stuff where they say like this is, I don't know, this hoodie costs us X amount to make, it costs us X amount to ship,
Yeah,
and it's got a breakdown, and then obviously they got the profit margin on top, and it's really transparent. And I think, like you say, that's the way,
nice.
that's nice, and that's the way it seems to be going. That like you say, it's a balance between the corporate social responsibility from these big organizations and then the consumer demand, because if the demand wasn't there, people wouldn't be bothering. But obviously with everything that's going on in the world, climate change, landfill, people are obviously more ethically aware and more conscious of what their footprint is and and I think that also leads on to, I don't know if you've seen this trend too, but more in vintage. I know, like I was listening to a couple of other podcasts and just talking about vintage clothes, and I think it's slightly bigger in America than it is here, I'd say. But like, I don't know if you feel the same, but like maybe 10 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed to go and buy something secondhand or something vintage or something from like a charity shop or wherever, because you'd think, oh, that's kind of a bit, it's a bit, you don't know where it's been. You pull your face a bit, and you probably And I think that's definitely for me personally. I'm always now looking out for that vintage T-shirt. That's something you can't get, and I think
Yeah,
that is a part of it. Maybe it's people thinking, I want that piece that I know no one else has got. But then it's also in turn that thing where you're a bit more conscious of not just throwing everything away when you're done with it. It's definitely more of um, buy one in, one out. I've tried to employ that policy, but it's not working really well for me, to be honest. With the one in, one out policy, but I've definitely
the,
noticed a
the, the
shift. Go for it, yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I was just going to say the pre-owned stuff. I feel like there used to be a stigma attached to that maybe a few years ago. But I think technology has really helped to break down that stigma. Like if you look at the growth of Depop, for example, um, it's just huge. Like people, whereas maybe 5, 10 years ago, we'd think no chance in hell are we buying something that's second hand or third hand. But these days, people are actively looking for that stuff. And I think that goes back to the whole kind of classic and investment pieces, right? Like if you
Yeah,
look
yeah,
after
definitely.
something, or if you store it away, and if you pull it out 5 years later when it's back in fashion, or even if it's out of fashion to make a statement, right? Then that essentially breaks down trends in a very different way as well. So that's another point to consider, I'd say. But technology definitely helps to break that stigma of pre-loved stuff. I don't really buy that much stuff that is pre-owned, but there's the odd item that you just can't find. Like I might find something that I really liked from like the fall winter 19 collection of any brand or something, and Depop's sometimes like the only way you can find that stuff. Like if this isn't something that I'd buy today, but a good example would be like the Givenchy Rottweiler t-shirt, for example. I was very in fashion at the time, but there's no way you could find one of those for sitting on someone's shelf or something like that because it's so old. But it's such an iconic piece, right? So it works for designer stuff and even for normal stuff as well. Think about all the Fila and the Nike and the old Stussy stuff that you see on Depop. Like there's a lot of that out there.
And
There's a lot of it being sold and there's a lot of
yeah,
it being bought as well.
yeah. I was just gonna say vintage Nike stuff. You look at some stuff and you'd think like like you say 5, 10 years ago we'd maybe like you'd see it in a charity shop for like a quid, or like you throw it, or like you'd even throw it away. But now you're seeing like you say with the rise of Depop, people selling these pieces for 80, 100 plus quid for something that's 10 or 15 years old. But what is what you're getting is a piece that's obviously stand the test of time. So the quality's obviously there. But
Yeah,
you're also, like you say, when you bust that piece out and you take that fit pick, you know that there's no one else with that. And I think, like you say, Instagram's maybe a power driver of that is like people wanting to be different and standing out. And like, you pull out a 15, 20-year-old tee or something from the 90s that no one else is going to have. Like to me, like it can only be a good thing. Like it can only be a good thing that people are looking at that. There's a market for it. I think some of the prices are a bit extortionate at times, but like I say, it's supply and demand. If there's people willing to pay it, then you can't knock them really.
exactly. And there's people out there who have built businesses from old archive stuff. I can't remember his name now, but there's a dude in LA who basically has a Helmut Lang archive, and this stuff goes back to like 1998, for example. And he's got clients such as Kanye and whoever else who just pitch in whenever they want, pick up whatever piece they want, and then drop it back when they've done with it.
It's
So it's definitely alive and well. But I think Instagram has helped to fuel the fire, Depop as well. But yeah, ultimately, it is a good thing if things get used. Um, if things are getting used more than they were before, then ultimately that's less stuff going in the landfill. From my opinion, which is like you said as well, it's a great thing.
And I think like touching on what you say there about stuff going into landfill. I don't know if you've seen like a big uptake in like upcycling, or I know there's a few. I forgot the name now, but there's a women's wear designer from New York. The name will come to me, and if it does, I'll pop it in that like the caption here. But her work is um, is incredible, really. Like, just touching back onto sustainability and stuff. I think like a big player in that now is sort of, you know, the new sort of fast fashion, the online fast fashion. I think, you know, when you see, like, think like since the start of the pandemic, if we take a look at, say, our local shopping centre here in Stoke, which I know you'll be very familiar with, is like, you know, since March last year, it's lost what, Debenhams, Dorothy Perkins, Topman, Topshop, like countless others. It's like there's hardly. And you think for, like, I know Stoke is not a massive city like maybe Manchester or Birmingham, but you got to think when we come out of this pandemic, what's going to be left? Like, what do you think is going to be the future of the high street? Do you think like for say ASOS have bought out Topman and Topshop, and I know Boohoo and their whole conglomerate have been snapping up brands left, right, and centre. What's your take on that? Where do you think you see it going?
It's a good point, to be fair, but I think your companies like Debenhams, House of Fraser is another big one. Not in Stoke, but still another big one. Topshop, Topman, obviously. It gets to a point where brands fail. There's 2 points where brands fail to recognize their customers' needs. And the second point is their lack of innovation as well. The reason why ASOS has worked so well kind of since its launch is because it's been online only. That's given them the kind of the credibility and the backing to actually be, you know, in such a position where they can snap up Topshop and Topman and whoever else it was. So I think, you know, credit to them, because they did the right thing from very, very early on, and you know, they were innovators in the online space. You know, they might not be the most profitable company, because I have heard things about them not being, you know, in a great position financially in terms of like profit margins and stuff like that. But you know, there's two sides to it. I think ASOS have done a great job in innovating, and I think Misguided and whoever else there is, like Pretty Little Thing, for example, and Boohoo and all these other ones, they've done a good job, but they've also done a bad job. They've done a good job because they've got an amazing influencer strategy. Like, if you think about the people who, you know, who they feature on billboards, on in their ads, like the caliber of people on there is amazing. Like, and they've got that nailed so well, and no other brand has been able to do that. Maybe they've been able to do it with a handful of people, but Pretty Little Thing and Boohoo have just blown everyone out of the water as far as I'm concerned. So that's the good part of it. I think the bad part of it is, you know, £4 skirts, £1 skirts. You know, it's, you know, like, you do question the ethics of stuff when stuff is so cheap. So it's like, you know, like, what is actually going on here?
Yeah, have you seen the stories? Like, I'm sure you will have, of like, you know, the underpaying workers, and like, I think a lot of the factories are in Leicester. But I always take things you see with a pinch of salt, because, you know,
of course,
like you until they get fully, like, there's a full investigation and everything comes out into play. You know, taking things what people post on Twitter, and you know, you soon see how things spirals. As not fake news as such, but you know, like, one person feels badly treated by a company, and you know, things spiral and things travel so fast on the internet that some people sort of don't stop and fact check.
It's hard. It's very hard to validate all news that comes through, because the speed in which it comes through and the waves in which it's picked up and spread is it is crazy. So you've definitely got to be wary of any allegations until they come true. I will always side with the company, to be fair, until the like any investigation like that has been concluded. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Ultimately, but for the shape of the high street, ultimately, like, it's very difficult. The only company who's got really the backing to actually snap up key properties on the high street now is Amazon. I can't think of anyone else. And Amazon doesn't need brick and mortar stores, so it is very bad for small businesses and medium-sized enterprises as well. It's going to be very tough for them. But ultimately, they just need to adapt. They need to get more innovative. they need to,
I think,
innovate in the online space as well, and actually, come up with a different strategy than everyone else.
yeah, I think like what you're saying about being innovative in a strategy, you've got to think like, people's um, purchasing habits have changed. People's attention span has definitely changed. Like people, you've got that 30-second almost TikTok mentality of you like something, boom, if it's not the same, it's gone. Like, people's likes and dislikes change so quickly, and how a physical retail store can adapt like that, it can't. Like, it takes time, it takes planning, it takes money, and I think like pop-up stores and concepts in stores are really like the future, but like for areas that aren't as affluent as I'm sure like you and me both know, like Stoke is not the most affluent of cities, but when people sort of say, well, why doesn't our shopping centre get like a Zara, or why doesn't it have a Selfridges, or why doesn't it have this and that, what Manchester and Birmingham have? But you've got to think of the economic environment around it to support it. Fair enough, it's like some people can afford it and some people would love to have it there, but can everyone afford it? Does it fit the economy around you? And like you say, it's a very sad place. I mean, I don't know when the last time you were back in Stoke was, but there are some nice things going on, like in the Piccadilly area of the town centre, where they got the smaller shops, boutiques,
Been regenerated.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but like it's so much money and investment needed, and you got to think, well, where's that money going to come from? And if you're losing shops like Top Man and Top Shop, and I know that might be the more of how their money's been handled from a top-down perspective, whether they could have saved the company and saved some jobs and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like I say, it's a tough place. It's a tough place for any businesses to sort of operate, and we've only got to think of like the start of the economic downturn, maybe what was it, 2008,
Yeah.
and you think all the things that have gone like since then to now, and then like you say, the things go down. The online fashion space has gone crazy, but I suppose people like everything comes in circles. I'm sure we'll know from like doing A-level economics together that supply and demand, it will come around. So it's like people will want retail spaces. People will want to go and try stuff on, to go and see stuff. But how sustainable and how long shops will stay around, who knows? Like it's sad. It's sad in a way. It's sad in a way, but the more, like you say, like Amazon's growth is crazy. The ASOS and the Boohoo Group is also crazy of growth, and like convenience and lockdown. If anything, has made people, it's forced people into that. It's almost if you can't go to the shops, you've got no choice, have you? If you want something new, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting few years, and how councils, cities, government look to invest in our high streets and get stuff back to where people actually want to go out and visit. As it's a tough one, and it's definitely not one that's going to be a quick fix anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think there is opportunities now for smaller businesses to step in and create like a really cool space, like pandemic aside. Like with an economic downturn, there is also opportunities. Like it's hard to fund something yourself, but ultimately, if you could do something really cool and exciting and innovating in that space, even as a sole person or as like a collective of people, I think there's a lot of power in that, because that is ultimately, you can bring your online influence offline to a physical place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of power in that. And I think brands just did not have the brands who have gone over just didn't have that pull.
Yeah,
And I know that obviously Stoke is not like the most affluent place. So, it's like, does it make sense for businesses to open up there as well? But ultimately, I'm of the belief of, if the opportunity doesn't exist, then you've got to create it. That would be my honest answer.
yeah, and I think touching back to one of the things you said there is business is not changing and not moving with the times, and I think Debenhams and House of Fraser maybe were that, because you've got to think, what is their USP? What is there that they're offering that would choose you to shop there. And I mean, they haven't got a unique product as such. They don't offer anything cheaper than anywhere else. That sort of traditional
And
high.
it ends up being a year-round sale. Then you've got the same stock that just accumulates year on year. No one's interested. They want something fresh. They want something new.
Yeah, so maybe it's
It
just
is a tricky one.
it is just changing with the times though. Like businesses come and go all the time. Like I know, like now more than ever, it's more apparent. And I think like when you're in this, like you say, the digital age, it hits headline news quick and everyone knows about it quick. When something goes bad, it goes bad real quick, and people are always quick to talk about it. But maybe it is a change of where these small opportunities of stores are opening up, and loads of independent retailers, and people are taking the chance. Maybe it is for media outlets and whatnot to give people a bit of press and give people a bit of positive to say, look at this startup, it's doing X, Y, Z. I mean, a brand I'm really, really into at the minute is Cole Buxton, and I know the guys there started online and have got a more of a premium price points for the clothes they make, but it's the quality you get. And I know they'd opened up a store recently in London during the pandemic. I don't think it was open very long because of it, but
Yeah,
seeing what them guys have done to create their brand as a team, open up a flagship store in London, and almost like reverse that process, like you say, of starting online to move to bricks and mortar to give the customers
yeah,
a place to hub. Like, it can happen, and it can happen if you've got like you say, the product is there. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it's just maybe just a change. And like people are always scared and skeptical of change, so maybe it is just understanding what that future is. And I suppose you can't predict it, you can't forecast anything like this last year's shown everyone really. So I suppose it is just looking to the future and trying to be positive with where the world's going, I guess.
exactly that. And if one opportunity is lost, then ultimately there's another one just down the road anyway. So if it doesn't exist, then I'll say it again. You've got to create it.
100%. And then I guess it just takes it on to sort of my next point is, with all the change, where do you look to shop? Like, where is your go to now? Like, what would you say for just for you personally? Is it as brands? Is it certain products? Is it a certain retailer that you always tend to go to, or what do you think?
It's a funny one because there's certain things that I just won't buy online. So I'll never buy anything from Uniqlo online, but I'll frequent their store, you know, quite often when I'm out and about. So it is different. I mean, the thing is, for me specifically, I have to think about where I spend more time, and it is in front of the computer. It is in my inbox as well. So I am always looking out to see what's in my inbox. And again, it's Sunspell that keep coming up. It's costs that keep coming up as well. Um,
Just
and it's
one you mentioned there is costs. I don't know if it's fully closed, but they opened up their space in Manchester. I went to the opening party there, and I saw someone post on Instagram a few weeks ago that it was all boarded up. So I don't know if it's closed, but if it is, that's going to be a real shame. But it can show it, if it is the case, that it can happen to big companies in big cities too, and not just smaller areas. So yeah, it's going to be a weird one. But I echo what you say there, in that some things you just don't buy online. Like for me, it's always tends to be trousers and jeans. Like I've always preferred to go and try them
try them on.
on. Yeah, because I've got really short legs. I swear. Like I can't, trying to find something that fits right. I'd prefer to just go try it on, see what I think. And I feel if you don't do it that way, especially with like denim and jeans and stuff, that you'll end up sending two, three, four, five, six pairs back before you even find one you close to like. Um,
Yeah, I agree with that. I did that with a pair of Edwins I got in the January sale. Um, it's too long. It looks like it belonged on a giraffe's legs, not mine. So I have to send them back. So yeah, I can understand that.
and in terms of pickups that you've got? What is the latest thing you picked up?
So the latest thing I picked up was, to be fair, it was probably the Apple Watch in this leather strap as well. Um, I had a bit of an issue with watches. I was either, you know, I'm so used to wearing one, but I just want to wear one that's a bit timeless as well. And I was very, very against smartwatches, I would say. But the Apple Watch has become quite complimentary, I would say, and it's pretty customizable. Like I can change the faces, I can change the strap, so it's pretty decent. But other than that, I think I mentioned at the start it would be the George Cleverly shoes that were like an investment piece, and it would be the Margielas as well. I did buy a pair of Golden Goose, and I was really happy with them when they came, but I had to send them back because they were too small. Yeah, they would be the top three. And then what was the other question? The next one. What's the next one?
What have you got your eye on?
That is actually a tricky one. What have I got my eye on? To be fair, I know I keep going back to Sunspell, and I should probably change the record here. But their Riviera polos for summer are like they're pretty good.
If we get a summer,
I've been eyeing them up. What's that?
If we get a summer.
If we get a summer, yeah, and their Sea Island cotton looks quite cool as well. But apart from that, nothing major. I would quite like a pair of dunks, low pair of dunks, or a pair of AJ1s. Don't have any. I've not had any interest in getting any either, but I just think it's a decent daily shoe. I picked up the Adidas Sambas, the Jonah Hill version.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my daily. The green pair, that's kind of been my daily. So
big shout out.
When I picked.
Big shout out to the Throwing. A big shout out to the Throwing Fits podcast, actually, because them guys over there in America, they're big on Jonah Hill, and I know they had Jonah on an episode talking about that collaboration that you just mentioned there. So yeah, like I've seen that knocking about. It's definitely a good piece. Another good question for you here, Hammad, is there anything you regret selling? Is there anything that you've had and you've thought, no, now, like as we were saying about things that can go up in value, is there anything you regret?
Yeah.
For me, it was Jordan 1 Shadows. I had a pair. I didn't wear them a lot. I bought them at the time, I think, for 160 quid resale. So it was only like 20 quid above retail. And then like now they're going for like 300, 350, maybe even more. And I'm like, oh, man, like I wish I'd just kept them. But I don't know if you've got that with anything.
Not recently, but what I can say is that I bought a pair of off-white Prestos in white when they came out for retail, and I gave them away as a present. Looking back at those prices, to be fair, the person who I gave it to hasn't worn them since, but that was pretty painful.
What, can you ask for a recall on it?
Don't think I can. Don't think I can. I mean, it was a present at the time, and I had no idea which way and how north the price would go. So it was a tricky one. But I think another one would be the Nike acronym collection. So I got two pieces from there. I got the second round of mid-top Prestos from them, and I got the Vapor Max acronyms as well. The pink crimson, I think they're called. That's a really interesting era for Nike, by the way, because it was Errolson Hughes collaboration acronym in Nike. So that was it was a really, really interesting one, and I regret selling them as well because I think I did have a bit of a tech wear phase, and I think I would have quite liked to have kept some of that stuff, but that's long gone now, unfortunately.
Speaking of tech wear, I know it's gone like it's skyrocketed in popularity the past couple of years, and like you say, with the leaks and Matthew Williams I think he's heading over Givenchy now, which it just goes to show how quickly things can change, how he can go. I'm sure I don't know his full background, but to go like I'm sure he's been in the industry a long, long time, worked very hard to get to where he is before Leaks really blew up. But to go from like his own brand to Leaks to head over to Givenchy, similar to, well, we all know Virgil's background, to head up Louis Vuitton menswear. But like you say, that tech wear definitely had a moment, and I think it still is having a moment. But to see the transition from like the tech wear vibe to a high fashion house is quite something, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and you can see that Nike have really taken on their ACG range quite progressively ever since. So like they've always got a new set of Gore-Tex stuff out every year. Obviously, two collections a year, so some of that stuff is really good as well. But I don't think it's dying. I think it's a very hard market to get into as a consumer because you've got your super premium price stuff like Acronym, like Valence, like even Arc'teryx to a point as well. And then you do have the more entry level stuff like the Nike stuff, which is easy. It's still expensive, but it's easier to access. Like every year without fail, the Nike ACG cargo pants they sell out. Like if you need a size small, like good luck to you because you're not going to get one. So it's definitely still time for tech wear, I would say, but it is very expensive. Definitely very expensive.
And going from that in terms of like your purchase habits and what you're picking up is, where would you say that you're influenced by? Is there any sort of style that you see on someone else that you think, that is my go-to person for a reference point? Is it, is it influencers? Is it celebrities? Where would you say? Because I know for me, if I'm like getting into fashion aware, I don't know if you might feel the same, but like when we first sort of noticed what brands were on was music for me personally. So like I know around the time we were in college when you see like I'm trying to think who would be big around that time, maybe like Drake, obviously.
Lil Wayne was big around then, and so was Vans and Converse, I think.
And like
Yeah,
Kid Cudi, Kanye, obviously. But
yeah.
and like that's definitely influenced a lot of where I initially looked for sort of style. But where would you say your influence comes from now, if anywhere?
Now it has changed a lot. So before, like I did used to like things that were quite brash and in your face. Like I did used to wear a lot of Bape, a lot of Supreme. I have gradually stopped wearing that stuff now, and it is more on the line of like minimal, I would say. So anything minimal really is my kind of style. Like I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm I'm quite well up for what I do. So I just try and limit the amount of choices that I make on stuff I wear, right? So like sometimes I'll often wear the same thing for like a couple of days, or I'll buy stuff that looks quite similar and quite repetitive. And that's just because I'd rather not spend 10 minutes looking at my wardrobe every morning deciding what to wear when I'm just going to be sitting at home. So there's a documentary on the minimalists, by the way, or on minimalism by two guys, Josh and I can't remember what the other guy's name was.
I'll have to check.
But they've influenced it quite heavily. And I mean, Kanye used to, because the amount of barriers that he broke down, like even in music, going from producer to rapper, and then going into fashion and having Louis Vuitton Jaspers like in the 2000s, that was like mind blowing.
And
Like
see,
for someone to do that and break that mold, that was mind blowing. But yeah, nowadays it is much more understated stuff. So um, you know, and smarter stuff as well, I'd say. But maybe that's part of growing up.
yeah, I'd echo that. I think it is. I think, I don't know, obviously trends change with time, but I think everyone at like 17, 18 goes through that sort of hype beast phase where, yeah, everything's got to be designer brand logo in your face. But like now, I'd say I'm very much the same as like your smarter pieces, your Uniqlo, your COS, your Arquette. I'm trying to think where else. Like just those clean, smart silhouettes that are in a easy to wear colorway that like you got that you can just wear with a lot. And I think like I've definitely tried to err more to that side than your bright colors, your big branded stuff. I mean, some stuff is just nice. It's just nice to have like just to throw on pop of color, but not anything like your logo's plastered all over it and it's big branding in your face.
Exactly.
I don't think that's the thing anymore. Not for me personally, but the odd piece, obviously.
The subtle flex is where I'm at these days. Like if I'm wearing something that's got no logo, but I know it's a nice piece. Like it could be a watch, it could be a jumper, it could be a pair of shoes, for example. But I'd rather have that subtle flex. And I'd rather not everyone know about it either, because the thing is, I think an interesting point is that when we were back in college, and for me when I was in uni and in my early 20s, that I would, think, oh, this looks cool, and I would look cool wearing it for other people. Now, don't really care about that at all. I'm like, what do I like? What do I like wearing? Not about impressing people. And if that attention does come, then it's not something that I ever endeavor to get. It happens or it doesn't happen, and and things are just more natural then. What you wear becomes more natural. What you do and how you behave becomes more natural as well. So I think that's a very important position to be in, when you're in a good place with yourself as well, because then you're more comfortable with whatever it is that you wear. And as a byproduct of that, you're way more confident as well.
Yeah.
Like, look, this is a Uniqlo jumper from maybe 6-7 years ago. Like, I've got no qualms whatsoever about wearing it on a video podcast, because I'm not trying to impress anyone. This is just something that I like, and it's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's about finding your personal style, maybe. That what you, like you say, confidence is a big thing, and comfort is another one. It's like finding what you feel confident and comfortable wearing. That, like you say, other people might recognize and like, but it's not like you're not focused as I need to wear this because I know people are going to think of me this way. I think that's another thing about growing up. I think it's definitely is when you're younger, you're looking for that sort of validation, and that I need to be dressing this way to attract certain kind of attention from certain kind of people. But when you sort of find your own vibe and your own personal style, that's just as powerful as just trying to show off and impress as everyone else. As if you've got your own way and you're confident and happy with it, then so be it, right? So I'm just gonna wrap that up there. So that's your first episode of On The Bloc done, brought to you by Bloc Devoir. I just want to say a massive thanks to Hammad. Thanks for your time and jumping on here. Anything you want to just say as an outro? Do you want to shout out yourself? Do you want to tell where people to follow you?
Thank you very much for having me, would be the first thing. You can find me on Instagram at Mirza Have Mercy. I'm sure Ryan will attach something somewhere. But big shout out to you as well as the host. Very, very, very fortunate and blessed to be the first episode, and very interested to see where you go with it as well. So big well done to you.
Appreciate that, man. Just one final shout out. I just want to say, just big shout out for the intro music, which is all produced by Loudpack. If you want to check out any beats or any further info, everything's going to be linked in the bio below. So yeah, just a big wrap up, and then yeah, thanks Hammad, thanks so much. And then yeah, be sure everyone to tune into the next one.